The Detroit Lions must win this game on Sunday. How do they do it? We discuss.
You are Locked On Lions, your daily Detroit Lions podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, here we are, everybody. It's a Friday edition of Locked On Lions, Locked On Podcast Network, the #1 sports podcast network. Matt Dery with you on this, a Friday, December 19th into Saturday, December 20th, getting you ready for the Lions and Steelers. Pittsburgh's coming to town. Lions haven't beaten them since 1998. 4:25 start on Sunday. A lot to get into on the program today, including a mock draft. Yes, I am well aware we're in December. I am well aware we shouldn't be talking about the draft. We got to do our first mock draft of the season, SZN. We will do that coming up momentarily. Also, a little comment on last night's game. This Thursday night game was phenomenal last night between the Rams and the Seahawks. Also, by the way, on our screen, it says Rams-Niners. I meant to say Rams-Seahawks. Injuries popping up. Lions may have a different center coming up on Sunday. All of that right here on Locked On Lions. We appreciate you making us your first listen and checking us out everywhere. All right. How do we get it? How do we do this? How did the Detroit Lions beat the Pittsburgh Steelers? We can sit here and talk about the Lions' struggles on defense. And Kelvin Sheppard yesterday, Lions defensive coordinator, saying, hey, if there were just a few big plays that we took away against the Rams, we would have won. Come on, Shep. Lions gave up over 500 yards of total offense to the Rams last Sunday. I'm well aware that a few explosive plays took place in that game. I'm well aware the Lions only lost by 7, but they couldn't stop L.A. And Sheppard said on Thursday, as part of Coordinator Day in Allen Park, that he believes that some strategic moves will be made this week and that some things with X's and O's will be, some different schematic possibilities are out there to change for Sunday against the Steelers. And I'm well aware that Pittsburgh is playing better. They are 8-6. They're in first place in the AFC North. They have won 2 in a row and 3 of their last 5. But first things first, when we're talking about this football game, and that is this. The Lions have to outscore the Steelers. We like I said, I want to sit here and talk about the defense. I want to say they needed more pressure on Rodgers and they got to do this and they got to do that. I truly believe the Lions have got to outscore Pittsburgh. It is time now for these last 3 games, Pittsburgh, at Minnesota, at the Bears, that the Lions offense, which has been the calling card for really the last 4 years, the 9-8 season, the 12-win season, the 15-win season, this season. The Lions have just got to score. Yeah, the defense is ranked in the 20s. Yeah, things aren't going well. Yeah, they're not getting stops. Yeah, this guy's hurt, and no Kirby Joseph, and no Brian Branch, and no Terrion Arnold, and blah, blah, blah. You know what? I truly think in order to beat Pittsburgh, and win on Sunday at 4:25 on CBS with Jim Nantz and Tony Romo, who will be blabbing away, and the Michigan Wolverine graduate, Tracy Wolfson. Lions got to put up 34 points, 37 points, and do what they do best, and that is speed, electricity, Goff with time to throw, the running game, the passing game, Amon-Ra, Jahmyr, Montgomery. All of it just has to click this weekend. And think about this. The Steelers' 2 best defensive players, arguably, they're 2 best. They've got good players on defense. They've got a very veteran defense. But Nick Herbig is a really good player out of Wisconsin. And so is TJ Watt. And both of them, it doesn't appear, are going to play in this game. Watt had a collapsed lung 2 weeks ago. He might not be ready yet until next week. Herbig got hurt on Monday night against the Dolphins. That's the guy that took Watt's place and looked pretty good Monday night. Lions just got to score, baby. They got to score. Do you realize that this weekend they're going to be facing a Pittsburgh Steelers offense that is very mediocre and has only scored 30 points or more 3 times all year. 3 times all year. It's not been an easy run for this Steelers attack led by Aaron Rodgers and DK Metcalf and a couple of decent backs and Gainwell and Warren, but there's nothing special about this offense. It's very below average. They've only scored over 30 points 3 times all year. How many times has the Lions offense scored 30 points or more in a game? 7. 7 times. So, the Steelers have that identity of being tough and being physical and always tough on defense and hit you hard. And Dan Campbell said it the other day, and we talked about it on the show, maybe on Wednesday, the physicality that the Steelers always bring and the lunch pail mentality and the fact that they've only had 3 coaches since really I've been alive, and I'm 52 years old. Chuck Noll, Bill Cowher, Mike Tomlin. Those are tough, hard-nosed, solid tackling, physical teams. Bully ball is what Dan Campbell said the other day. He said the Rams played bully ball, and that's what the Steelers are going to try to come in and do. But if they don't have TJ Watt or they don't have Nick Herbig, and they got a lot of young players in that secondary with injuries that they've had on that back end, although Porter's starting to come on and play pretty well for them. He was a high draft pick. I like the Lions' chances this weekend. Yes, the Steelers have won 2 in a row. Yes, they seem to be playing better football. But they got a 4th string left tackle this weekend going up against Aiden Hutchinson. Lions are at home. You, the fans, can play a massive factor in this game. The Lions have to win this game. They have not played very consistent football at home since what? The Buccaneer game? The Monday night game where the defense just overachieved and the crowd was into it, but even the offense that night wasn't great. But since then, a loss at home to Minnesota. A game they barely beat the Giants at Ford Field. Thanksgiving Day where Green Bay dominated them. Dallas was a nice win and the Lions put up 40 points, but that was a tough game. Cowboys did not go away that night, Thursday night affair. I just think now they've got to get back to what they do best, and that is the scoring. That is being the number 1 scoring offense in the league. Absolutely, you want to get stops. Absolutely, you need turnovers. Lions got that 1 turnover last weekend in LA and helped them take a 7-0 lead. Couldn't get another turnover the rest of the game. Dan Campbell talks about it all the time. Let's get a takeaway here. Was it the Dallas game where Campbell was interviewed on the sidelines and said we need a takeaway, and the next thing you know, the ball is tipped. Meek Robertson, deflection to Derek Barnes, and the Lions had a takeaway. But these last 3 weeks, it's got to be on the offense to just, whatever the defense is doing, whether they're playing well or not, whether they're making personnel changes or not, or schematic changes or not, or whatever they're trying to do. Sometimes it's going to take 34, 37 points to win. The Lions have to do it. They've got that kind of talent on the offensive side of the ball. Who are the Lions' best players? Penei Sewell, he's on offense. Amon-Ra St. Brown, he's on offense. Jared Goff, he's on offense. Jahmyr Gibbs, he's on offense. Sure, I'd throw Hutchinson in there too. He's a defensive player. Jack Campbell, tremendous player. Really, really good middle linebacker. But Lions can score on this Pittsburgh defense. Their secondary, their pass defense, 27th in the league out of 32 teams. Been better recently. But time to crank and rev up this offense and get a win on Sunday. We got ourselves another offensive line shuffle possibly coming down the pike on Sunday, including an injury to the Lions starting center. We will get into that coming up next right here on Locked On Lions. It's a Friday edition on the Locked On Podcast Network. And Locked On Lions for today, brought to you by our friends at Game Time. The World Cup is coming back to North America for the first time since 1994, with 48 teams for the first time ever. It's going to be massive. Let's be honest, getting tickets is usually the hardest part. That's why the Game Time app is clutch, finally giving fans a real advantage when it comes to snagging seats. With Game Time, you can track price drops in real time, get alerts when great seats open, and buy tickets the moment they hit the app. It puts the power back in your hands and makes going to the World Cup realistic instead of impossible. You pull up the app, the layout makes it so simple to scroll through matchups and compare seat views. Pick a game, tap a section, have your tickets locked in within minutes. No confusion, no hunting for fine print. All right. Prices include fees all up front, which I love. I use those for the Big Ten championship game. No last second surprises at checkout. Take the guesswork out of buying World Cup tickets and every match, concert, or event with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, download the app, make an account, use the code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off at Game Time. All right, welcome back to the program. You know this, everybody. Locked On Lions is here. Thank you for making us your first listen each and every day right here on Locked On Lions. And thanks for making us the number one sports podcast network. We are Locked On Podcast Network. Now, if you haven't already, check out our new Everydayer Club. All right. Access to an ad-free audio feed for Locked On Lions, compatible with Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and every other major podcast app. We invite members only on our Locked On Lions Everydayer Club Discord server. We're talking, chatting on the Discord server. It's fun. Includes a group chat just for listeners of this show. All right. If you're hanging out on the Discord, you see Steve Facine on there, you see Chris Druin on there, and some others. We're talking about the Lions on the Discord. Go to lockedonlions.supercast.com. That's lockedonlions.supercast.com to learn more. It is our Everydayer Club, and we appreciate all of our Everydayers that are out there, and that includes a couple of new Everydayers. My guy over at Cooper's Hawk in Troy, Jerry Dulka, he was in L.A., loves the Lions. Jerry is a huge fan and even traveled out to L.A. last week for the game. And also, Kayla Murphy, met the legendary Kayla last night. She loves the Lions. She's breaking down the two deep. She was talking about injuries. She's talking about, I'm going to go home tonight and watch Seattle and the Rams. I was down at the Make the Turn holiday party last night downtown. For our good friends Mike Sullivan and Kyle Bogey and Justin Rose. Kayla was at that bash. We talked a lot of Lions. So be a part of our Everydayer Club. We always love our Everydayers. All right, I am recording this program right now at 4:00 Eastern time. I've not seen the very, very latest on the Lions injury report, which will probably be out as I stop hitting record on this. But it appears not a good sign that Graham Glasgow, the Lions starting center, and really their best center, although Graham has been very meh the last couple of years, has a knee injury and has not practiced the last couple of days. If that's the case and Graham cannot play on Sunday, the Lions once again will have to go in a different direction when it comes to the center position. I'm guessing that Tristan Colon, the veteran, would get the start at center. Good news on the injury front, though, is Christian Mahogany is coming back and has practiced all week. And it appears, although Dan Campbell said today, we'll just see how he does. We want to see his progression and everything else, and if he is able to go. But if that is the case and Christian Mahogany can play, you at least get your starting left guard back in Mahogany, although you're now going to lose Graham Glasgow, who has the knee injury. Mahogany, by the way, had a fibula injury and was on IR and has been practicing on the last few weeks. And you hope that this week is the week that he can go. So we'll see. He said full speed today, full speed yesterday. And if he is ready to go, he would go. Coyote Awashika, by the way, also could be available to play left guard if Mahogany is not ready to go. And Miles Frazier has played decently the last 2 weeks. But again, you're talking about moving guys around in a spot where there was so much consistency over the last couple of years when you went from Decker to Glasgow to Ragnow, Zeitler last year, Jonah Jackson the year before, and Penei Sewell across that offensive line. And now you just had a lot of different moving parts. But if they can get Mahogany back from that fibula injury and he can play on Sunday against the Steelers and Cam Hayward in that group, that would be terrific. But it appears Graham Glasgow with a knee might not be able to go. Again, my guess is that you'll see Tristan Colon at center. He would move over from guard. He has played some center. And there's other options too as far as depth pieces there. But my guess is Colon to be playing center if Glasgow cannot go. And there's a good chance that that's the case. And Thomas Harper, by the way, Cologne's, by the way, has been bothered by a little bit of a knee injury. So we'll see where that goes. But he has at least practiced throughout the week. Thomas Harper, coming back from concussion, has been full practice all week, which is huge. If you remember last week, Eric Hallett had to start at safety. And he's now on the Tennessee Titans because he was on the practice squad, and the Titans scooped him up. So there's that. But keep an eye on that. The Lions just can't seem to shake this injury situation, whether it's Laporta, whether it's Kirby Joseph, Brian Branch. Now it's Glasgow. He still is their best center. He hasn't had a great year. We've talked about that. But keep an eye on that for Sunday against the Steelers. All right, last night, Rams, Seahawks. Let's talk about this for a second. If you watch that game, and I sound like I'm repeating myself from 2 weeks ago when we talked about the Packers and Bears game, and I said, look, if you watch Green Bay and Chicago, you saw, to me, the two best teams in the NFC, or you saw two teams that I thought looked like, at least tier-wise, higher tiered than the Lions. Just based on how the Lions have played and how they've been a 500 team since October the 12th. And that's the truth. The Lions are a good team. The Lions deserve to probably make the playoffs if they run the table here. They finished with 10 wins or even finished with 11 wins and don't get. If they finish with 11 wins, they're going to get in. But if they finish 10-7, while it will be a disappointing season, you will not hear me say on the air here on Locked On Lions that this team sucks or anything else. Will it be disappointing? Yes. Did they not reach their goals? No, they did not. But I watched the end, at least the second half, of Rams Seahawks last night. And man alive, what a football game. Wow. Rams led that game 30-14 in the fourth quarter and got a Kobe Turner interception. By the way, Kobe Turner was drafted 21 spots after Hendon Hooker. I know. Don't do it, Matt. Don't do it. By the way, Hendon Hooker sighting in New York with Aaron Glenn and the Jets, only in New York. But I watched that game last night and I said, man, that's a 12-win Seattle team now, an 11-win Rams team. So it looks like Seattle is going to win that division. That was a heavyweight fight. That was an immensely entertaining game, but two teams that are really, really good. Now, Sam Darnold threw the ball to the Rams a bunch. We know how shaky he is. I'm sorry, and I've seen this on sports radio today. Jared Goff, would I take him over Sam Darnold? 100%. But you saw the creativity, what Seattle did offensively last night to get back in that game, the Darnold rollout, the last second 2-point conversion to win the game, a great call where the tight end snuck out at the end, Saubert, and made the catch. You saw what the Rams would do, Puka Nacua with all of these distractions around him and just absolute stupidity that he did with some video. And then he was on Twitter after the game complaining about the officials and the 2-point conversion call and all that stuff. Regardless, LA and Seattle looked elite last night. Sure, their defenses gave up yards and everything else, and I think that Rams secondary is still a problem. But could the Lions go to LA and win in the playoffs? Could the Lions go to Seattle and win in the playoffs? I'm not so sure. Stafford is dealing right now. Seattle and just, man, and I know that their defense gave up a lot of points last night. It was just one of those games, 38-37. But Seahawks are just so well coached, so disciplined, really, really solid team. And it scares me a little bit to think about if the Lions had to play either of those two teams in the playoffs. Am I afraid of Philly? No. Am I afraid of the Bears or Packers? No. Am I afraid of Tampa or Carolina? No. Those two teams we watched last night, damn good. Damn good. All right. I can't believe we're doing this, but we are. I saw a mock draft, and I'm like, you know what? It's a Friday. It's December. We've not done a mock at all. Who would the Lions take in Dane Brugler's 1.0 athletic.com mock draft this coming April? We will tell you next. All right, everybody, Locked On Lions for today. Brought to you by our friends at Prize Picks. A lot of fun to play Prize Picks on Sunday. Holiday season's here. Great time for sports. We got bowl games like every day. Big basketball matchups, playoff pushes. It's all happening at once. And while we're all making choices every day, one of the most fun places to make the right call is Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the easiest way to get in on daily fantasy. Just pick more or less on at least 2 player projections, lock in your lineup, and you're in the game. It's simple, fast, and available in 45 states, including California, Texas, Florida, and Georgia. Prize Picks has added an extra layer of excitement to the holiday sports schedule, creating a lineup that takes less than a minute, and the app makes the whole process smooth and intuitive. The early payout feature is a great bonus. When your lineup starts off great, you may get the option to cash out early. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. It's a lot of fun. Prize Picks. It's also good to be right. All right, I always said here on Locked On Lions that I likely wouldn't do this when the Lions were a good team, and they are a good team. And I know it's been a rough year, and it's not what maybe some fans expected and everything else, but the Lions are 8-6 and still in the hunt for the playoffs. Heck, they could still win the division. All right, probably not, but you never know. But I always vowed that I wouldn't do any mock drafts because we're kind of past that. The Lions are good. The Lions are in contention. We don't need to be talking about the draft. Go to Cleveland and listen to them talk about what are they going to draft? What are they going to do? And will the general manager be there? Go to Las Vegas and hear them talking about the Raiders. And should they take Fernando Mendoza, number 1 overall, Tennessee as the number 1 pick? What are they going to do? Because they have their quarterback of the future in Cam Ward and everything else, and the Saints and everything else. But recently, Dane Brugler of theathletic.com, who handles the draft for them, came out with his first mock draft. He has the Browns moving up to number 1 in a trade with Tennessee to take Fernando Mendoza, the quarterback from Indiana. He has the Raiders at number 2, taking Dante Moore, the quarterback from Oregon. Saints at number 3, Arvell Reese, the very high-quality edge / linebacker from Ohio State. Giants at 4, Carnell Tate, the wide receiver from Ohio State. And Keldrick Folk, edge rusher from Auburn, going 5 to Tennessee. No, that's just the top 5. I'm not going to give you the whole thing. But what would the Lions be doing in a mock draft right now? Now, this was projected a couple of weeks ago, and Dane wrote the piece. And at that time, the Lions were projected to be picking 17th in the first round, which would be higher than we're used to seeing the Lions draft over the last couple of years, where they took Tyleik Williams at 27. I think Terry Arnold was 23, something like that. Brugler has the Lions at number 17 in the first round. What do you think they're drafting? What would be the thing that the Lions need? Well, we talk about it seemingly every year, that the Lions should take an edge rusher. Lions need some help rushing the passer on the edge, not named Aiden Hutchinson. What about defensive tackle? What about a safety now that Joseph's future's in doubt, and Brian Branch might not be able to start next season on time. But we all know the Lions need help on the offensive line. And in this mock draft, Brugler has the Lions at 17, taking Kadyn Proctor, the big tackle from Alabama. Brugler writes, quote, Proctor would be an easy sell in the Detroit war room. Just showed Dan Campbell clips of the 360-pounder catching screen passes and lining up in the backfield. I'm half kidding, but Proctor would give the Lions a potential heir apparent at left tackle and immediate depth at guard. Kadyn Proctor is a monster. And he's in the SEC, and as we know, with Brad Holmes, when he drafts offensive linemen, he's taken SEC offensive linemen before, namely this past year where he got Tate Ratledge out of Georgia in the second round and Miles Frazier out of LSU in the fifth round. Proctor would be a fantastic fit. A lot of questions surrounding the Lions offensive line this offseason. Will Frank Ragnow unretire again and give it a shot again to come back and play center? Is Taylor Decker done? Does he want to retire and hang him up, meaning that the Lions would have to find their future at left tackle? Regardless, Lions need help on both lines. And so taking Proctor at 17 to me would be a great fit. All right? Would be a really good fit. As far as some of the players that are taken after Proctor, Maui Goa, the big offensive tackle and guard from Miami, is there. Caden McDonald, the big D tackle from Ohio State, is there. We're just talking linemen now. Vega Ionone from Penn State, who's a guard, would be taken later in that first round in the mock. There's always plenty of linemen available in the draft. Caleb Banks, a big D tackle from Florida, is going in this one. Monroe Freeling, the tackle from Georgia, is going 32 in this mock draft. Lions will evaluate all of it, but we're already seeing the first mock draft, which I'm going against my rules to do it. They have the Lions taking an offensive lineman, and that is a definite need, along with some help on the D-line too. So, all right, everybody, we are with you following the game on Sunday. Don't forget Locked On Lions Squad Show with Jake Riepma, Bradford Banta, and the great Natalie Kerwin. Immediately following the game live on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. We'll have my show following the game as well, but not live. Check us out on Sunday. And I like the Lions. I think the Lions are going to win this game 31-21. That's my prediction for Sunday at Ford Field. Merry Christmas, everybody. Happy New Year. Back again Sunday.